The tension in the training yard was unbearable. Sweat ran down the SEAL recruit's forehead, not from the sun or the grueling drills, but from the glare of the Marine standing before him, fists clenched, rage simmering just beneath the surface. "You bastard," the Marine spat, stepping forward with fury, ready to strike. In that instant, the entire yard seemed to hold its breath. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments, were you rewatching from? I love knowing who's listening. The recruit, Jace Monroe, was young, underestimated, and barely out of his first weeks in SEAL training. He had faced challenges before: physical exhaustion, mental fatigue, and the endless mockery of peers who thought he wouldn't last. But this moment was different. This was not about endurance. This was about survival, instinct, and respect earned in a heartbeat. The Marine lunged. Muscle and momentum collided with lightning speed, but Jace was ready. His body moved with a precision born from hours of grueling preparation, reflexes trained to respond faster than thought. In one seamless motion, he deflected the swing, pivoted, and neutralized the threat without breaking his stance. The yard went silent. Even the instructors froze, unwilling to blink and miss a single second. She thought she'd never see him defend himself like that. He was wrong. Dust swirled around their boots as the Marine stumbled, momentarily stunned. His eyes widened, shock replacing rage, realizing that the recruit he had tried to intimidate had not only defended himself, but done so flawlessly. Jace's breathing was steady, his heart controlled, though adrenaline coursed through him like fire. He had been mocked, challenged, doubted, but never like this, never with such raw aggression. Every spectator could feel the weight of the moment. Whispers traveled across the training yard, some fearful, some in awe. "Did you see that? I thought he was done for. No one moves like that." Even the instructors, men who had seen countless recruits rise and fall, were momentarily humbled. The Marine's mind raced. He had thought brute force would win. He had thought intimidation would dominate. But in the span of seconds, he realized he was outclassed, outmatched, and utterly exposed. Every doubt he had about Jace's abilities evaporated under the reality of skill and control. Jace could see the change in the Marine's posture, the hesitation creeping into his stance, the way his hands shook despite himself. There was fear now, respect where none had existed before. And yet, Jace knew the moral weight of the moment. He did not strike to humiliate, to crush, or to prove dominance. He acted only to protect himself and uphold the rules of engagement within the yard. The wind shifted slightly, carrying dust and the faint scent of the training compound. Jace's eyes scanned the perimeter, aware that seconds could determine whether this confrontation escalated further. Around him, the air vibrated with tension. Each Marine and recruit held their breath, waiting for the outcome of a moment that could have spiraled into chaos. He thought he could intimidate everyone. He was wrong. The Marine stumbled back, finally speaking, voice low and trembling. I yield," he said, a mixture of disbelief and newfound respect in every syllable. It was not a boast, it was acknowledgement. And for Jace, that single admission was worth more than any victory. The instructor stepped forward, nodding in approval. They had witnessed countless skirmishes and confrontations, but few had ever unfolded with such clarity of skill, control, and moral judgment. Jace's response was textbook in precision, yet human in its restraint. It was a lesson not only in combat, but in character. The yard began to breathe again. Dust settled over the scorched earth, the echoes of tension fading into murmurs of admiration. Recruits whispered to one another, replaying the moment in vivid detail. Jace had proven more than physical ability. He had demonstrated presence of mind, courage, and integrity under pressure. The Marine, once brimming with aggression, now approached Jace cautiously. His fists were unclenched, his eyes softer, almost apologetic. You didn't have to do that," he murmured. Jace shook his head, offering a subtle nod of acknowledgement. He had defended himself, yes, but he had also set the tone for respect and professionalism. Around them, the instructors reminded the recruits that real strength is not measured in aggression, but in control. That is single correct action, executed with calm and precision, could overturn arrogance, diffuse hostility, and command respect in ways no forceful swing ever could. Jace remembered the nights he had spent doubting himself, the endless drills, the physical exhaustion, the isolation from friends and family. And yet, all of that training had prepared him for this exact moment. Every push-up, every navigation exercise, every mental drill had culminated in a few seconds that would define his standing among peers. Because courage doesn't announce itself, it manifests when the stakes are highest. Because respect doesn't come from fear, it comes from action, judgment, and integrity. The Marine extended a hand, first tentatively, then with growing confidence. Jace shook it firmly, locking eyes with a mix of acknowledgement and empathy. In that handshake, the lesson crystallized: dominance fades when met with skill, and arrogance is humbled when confronted with quiet mastery. As the yard returned to routine, whispers of the encounter persisted. Recruits replayed the story in small clusters, recounting the precise movements, the controlled breathing, the split-second judgment that had turned a potentially violent confrontation into a display of expertise and moral discipline. Jace returned to his exercises, heart still racing but mind focused. Around him, the training yard resumed its rhythm, but the imprint of those seconds would linger far longer. They had witnessed something rare, a blend of human skill, instinct, and the moral compass that separates a fighter from a warrior. Later, instructors debriefed the incident, emphasizing that heroism and mastery often appear in unexpected moments. They spoke of the importance of control, judgment, and restraint, lessons that extended beyond the training yard into every mission, every life, every challenge. Jace glanced at the Marine, now quietly observing from a distance. The anger had dissolved, replaced by a respect born not of words, but of undeniable proof. That proof, executed with calm, skill, and integrity, was more powerful than any threat or intimidation could ever be. Because mastery doesn't need applause, it commands respect. And as the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the yard, Jace understood something profound. Sometimes the true battle is not against another person, but against assumptions, underestimation, and the arrogance of those who think force can replace judgment. The encounter became a story told and retold among recruits and instructors alike, a testament to the power of skill, composure, and integrity under pressure. And as Jace prepared for the next phase of training, he carried with him a quiet confidence that in the heat of challenge, the right action, executed with precision, can change everything. If this story inspired you, share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters. And for more pulse-pounding tales of courage, skill, and split-second decisions, subscribe to Whispered Words. The next mission story is already waiting.